I picked up those... How's his mood today, Oliver?
Fine. About 10 pages above centigrade, Mr. Todd.
Well, we could all use a good day. Tell him I'm here on time, in my office, ready and willing whenever he needs me.
Yes, Mr. Todd.
Thank you, Oliver.
I'm sorry you won't have the chance to meet Warren Barr. How many prize-winning novelists does a guy meet in a lifetime, let alone work for? Incidentally, this is quite a job. I'll tell you when I see you how I lucked into it. Secretary, consultant, researcher, grammarian, and chauffeur. And the pay? More satisfaction than scratch. But just being around a mind as boundless as Warren Barr's, who cares about money? Oh, not that he's easy to be around. But he makes you think. New thoughts, you know, Buzz? Just 2 weeks here in this rundown plantation, I've already come to feel timeless. See what I mean, old buddy? It's not for you. And the town, how about this for a name? Hernando. Yeah. H-E-R-N-A-N-D-O. Hernando, Mississippi. If you were here, one look at this main street and you'd say it's bust-out time. But not me. And the way these things sometimes happen, I'm part of it. And I understand why Warren Barr has chosen to spend his life here. Now I see what he means when he says that standing still can be more creative than going fast. Believe it or not, Buzz, old buddy, I've come to value the peace and quiet of Hernando, Mississippi. Undisturbed, and therefore undisturbing. I'll write again next week. Meantime, heal. Always, Todd.
Is there any other place to stay in this town?
I don't care about the view. Just
Look, I
want
2 days. Go on.
You spell it with an F, not a V. That'll be $15, Mr. Russell, in advance. That's $15 a day.
You mind if I see your rate card?
Tore 'em up. New rate card now.
Hey, listen, my people.
Hey, how about a room?
Reservation.
Can you
Right
please
now.
give us
Another place to stay here? Come on, you get another room for us?
We know you got a room.
Can you call it another hotel for us?
Look at
Hey,
these
listen,
rooms,
I've got
man.
a room. Any place. Give me a room any place. Any place.
Set up your dark room and lab out front. They're yelling for all the art we can send.
Les! Les! You'd think he had more readers than I do. Say, I haven't seen you before.
Well, I've never been to New Zealand either.
Say now. I'm Dixie Martin. Never been lovelorn.
Only clean wounds.
No kidding. You mean you've never read my column? Or don't you care about the woman's point of view?
How do you think I got the wounds? Excuse me.
Now, about this town. Wouldn't you think that a girl whose old man won all those prizes would have more sense than to kill her husband in a broken-down place like this? Now, why couldn't she have found a more convenient location? Somebody said there's no bar in town.
Dixie, baby, I want you to know this has been one of the most refreshing experiences of my entire life. Meeting you, becoming good friends, and then forgetting the whole thing in one bittersweet lump.
Tell Mr. Bar Styles is here.
I'll pick up the car and meet him in front.
Come on, Joseph. I call you later.
Who'll take care of you, Papa?
Just once, that's all this fellow wants. Just one time around. You can do that, can't you? Do that for me.
Who's gonna take care of you, Papa?
They say he picks up where Darrow left off. He's a real brilliant law fella. He could ease things mightily, Dove.
Oh, Papa. Forgive me.
Larry is not the first husband to die in some alien bedroom, nor the last. Nor are you the first to strike away a life, nor God's the pity the last. Do you remember what I used to tell you? There's no such creature as the wicked, only the stronger. Forgive you, you could slice me down for dog meat, and I'd love you past every cut of the plate. Now, I'm going to send this fellow over here. Shipley's his name, from Chicago, best in his business. He'll have you home in no time. You just come on us with him. Tell him how it was with you and Larry, with Larry and Cora.
Oliver can't do everything for you, Papa.
It's the curse of a writing man that even when his heart's breaking, there's something inside of him somewhere that makes him wonder. Why can't his fingertips be as true when they touch paper as when they touch his daughter's tears? Now, you'll be obliging you here.
Shipley, that's his name. Dove.
I'll talk to nobody, Papa. Not even to you if you keep this up.
All right, Dove. All right, I'll wait. But if you don't mind, I'll keep Shipley here. Just in case.
Papa, I'm not like you. I never was. Nobody ever was.
We come and we go.
I know, Papa. And I'm ready. You better send Mr. Shipley back to Chicago, because I'll never speak to him. I'll never speak to anyone again as long as I live, except to the judge when he sentences me to die. And then just to say, thank you. And except to you, Papa. And only then to say, I always loved you. And I'm sorry I've brought you this pain.
Mitch.
The eyes of the nation are focused this afternoon on a small southern town where a true life story, more tragic than any ever written by the renowned novelist Warren Barr, is being... Come on,
Mr. Barr, I may have assumed a little too much authority this morning, but for a while there, if I hadn't grabbed a few dilemmas by the horns, some of your fans were ready to march on Mississippi and tear the courthouse down to get Beth free. Also, I might have offended some of your friends, but I thought you'd probably prefer to be alone right now.
When Beth was 10, she opened a diary to me. No, Dove, I told her, we all need a place no one can invade. But she insisted. First boy she ever kissed, the Untermeyer boy, the one with no eyebrows. She came running home later, giggling, clapping her hands. Papa, his nose was so cold. It was just after Christmas. With a hard stick of snow that winter. Is kissing better in July, she asked. All these years, nothing hidden until now. Jealousy, not a bone of it in her. The Beth I know, when she caught Larry with Cora, would have come softly home, walking on tiptoe, counting the leaves on the way, and the wickets in every fence she passed until she'd forgotten and forgiven. There's more here than she's telling, more than I can understand.
I'm starting a new movement. Give men back their manhood. So, you drive.
Didn't know we'd lost it.
Did little Bo Peep lose any sheep?
No, Dixie. For all I know, you may be wired for sound.
You know, it's a pretty funny thing, giving advice to 18 million lovelorn for never mind how many years, and all of a sudden having to divorce your own husband. Was that a drag trying to explain in 323 newspapers?
Another war, another night. Okay, Dixie?
Look, I'm hungry, and there's not a decent restaurant in town. All right, if you think I'm bugged, check me. But I'm warning you, I'm ticklish. You're wondering why you should go with me, right? Well, dear wanderer, keep it simple. Go for laughs. Signed, Dixie.
There's a spot about 10 miles outside town. Great fried chicken, but on 2 conditions.
Done.
1, we don't talk about the case. 2, after dinner, I have a lot of backwoods driving to do.
Have you ever been to Spain? Then you've never been to a Spanish inn. They're very bare, but they do teach you something. They teach you that you only get from a Spanish inn what you bring to it.
Look, Gus, TV. When I was 3, the Red Cross came in. The year the Mississippi covered all this valley.
Before I come.
Now it all come back. Makes you feel bigger inside. Don't make you feel bigger, Gus.
I feel sorry for poor old Larry Chance, that's all I feel. He's a right nice fella, but he oughtn't to go on messing around with Cora.
You didn't know Cora, did you, Gus? Flo was married.
Just you watch your mouth, Mary, how. Of course, it was different with Larry. He used to be sweetheart on Cora no matter what kind of reputation she had. But still, once he married, well, now, wouldn't you know she'd finally give up.
I got dinner to get, and Johnny's alone.
Lights over there, maybe a phone. You go see. Call Johnny and tell him we'll be right along.
To some extent, every intellectual is the dupe of his own rationality. He believes reality is as logical as his thoughts about it. And so, Warren Barr's tragedy, and the tragedy of his tormented daughter Beth, raised within the stockade of his genius, is that both assume that he can think away the events of the past week, that he can shelter his only daughter under the umbrella of his mentality. That mentality which has produced such incredible work as Rainbow at Cotton Falls, A Flutter in July, and his prize-winning trilogy, Ferredin.
Well, what have we here?
I saw the light, but you wouldn't have a phone in there.
Kashmir, Copenhagen, Buenos Aires, all at our fingertips.
Johnny gets somebody fearful after dark.
Beth, I found Cora. I felt it before I go to your father. Before I wake him up and take him to her, you might want to tell him something. I have to tell him. You can see that, can't you? By not saying anything, you say quite a lot. Good night.
Do you have to wake him up?
Were you asleep?
It's not the end of living, Cora.
How'd you find me?
A young man named Stiles. Cora, my little girl wants to die. Juries are only people, Cora. And being 12, they're something less than 12 separate people. They get baffled by silence. When they get baffled, they get insulted. They get insulted, they get cruel. If Beth doesn't speak out, they just might oblige her, Cora. They just might say the word guilty.
New Orleans, that's a town to get lost in, wouldn't you think?
Cora, it's not in the nature of life to want to die.
I got the money to go. When they came and took Beth away, they said, you're a material witness, Cora. You better not cut out, girl. We're going to come after you. And I wondered just how much good my money was.
Cora, if it's the way they say that she came in and saw the two of you, why didn't she shoot you too?
They won't kill her, Juan. She's a woman, he was a man. And she found him with me. Go home. Go home and sleep in peace. Nobody'll kill your little girl.
Evening, Warren.
Evening, Eric.
We've been keeping an eye on Cora. Can't have her influenced now that the trial's about to start. "40 years you know me, Warren. You know I got no special ambitions, no eye for politics. I may be the only county prosecutor in 50 states, not looking toward the state capital. I got no taste for walking on my friends, but this county's my county, like it's yours. We both got a painful duty. I got to prosecute Beth to the full extent of the law. We can't have the common folk here about thinking we're showing partiality to anybody, especially your daughter, Warren. You wouldn't want it that way, would you?" Tell me, boy, who's born free?
All right, go from this mic, will you please? Let me know when you've got it. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Got it all right? Working it about right? Okay, let's go.
Criticized in some quarters for detaching myself from the hue and cry of the press pack.
I feel it is my obligation to give you, the reader, a higher view of what is happening. Not to burden you with such trivia as what dress Beth Chance wore to court this morning, or how her hair was styled, or how the contest is going between a backcountry prosecutor and a big city defense attorney, who's getting no help at all from a silent, unspeaking defendant. No, I always watch the courthouse steps. To me, they're far more eloquent than any plea before a jury. When this trial has run its course and the verdict rendered, the now sealed doors will either burst open and the press will come tumbling out pell-mell, the verdict will be guilty. Or they will open sedately and the gentlemen of the press will saunter down, taking their time. The verdict will be not guilty. You see, dear reader, guilty makes the better story. Not guilty is anticlimactic. Leaves us with a strange feeling of discontent. Could it be that in our Puritan middle-class society, we're only at ease with our own conscience when we're punishing someone else?
Even before it comes, you make the victory seem empty, Dove. I never could have imagined that a jury would take your silence for the silence of innocence, but they are. And right now, for the first time, I can almost hear them crying, not guilty. In all my life, I don't think I've ever wanted to hear anything quite as much as I want to hear those two words. So why do I stand here now, dismayed?
I wish you could have spent more time with him, Papa. Do you remember when I first brought him home? How I loved you that afternoon. And after you'd met him, I took you aside and I whispered, tell me, please tell me, what do you think of him? And my knees were shaking because I knew he was uneducated. I counted 16 errors in grammar while he talked to you. But I already knew I loved him. Still, I loved you too. I loved you first. It had to be right. Do you remember what you said, Papa? He is uncomplicated, isn't he? Oh, Papa. Such a thoughtful word. Uncomplicated. And such positive thinking. You know how a child will talk to birds and animals and how they answer back? That's how Larry was with people. If I'd wake in the dark, he'd wake too, at that very instant. And we'd go to the window without a word between us, but all words, you know. All the silence would just go away. All my aloneness. And the dawn would break inside us. Papa, we were the dawn, just as long as he held my hand. Last August, do you remember that third Saturday, so hot and dusty? I said, Larry, not even a dragonfly would venture out in a day like this. The whole world's asleep, except you and me. Let's walk through our world Let's look as far as we can see and only see each other. And he didn't say, Beth, it's too hot. And we went, and we walked. And oh, it was so beautiful. You know, I don't think I ever did see Larry look up, you know, up above his head. He'd always look straight out, right at you, as though he were saying, take my eyes, look through them, see the view through them.
All these years, I never knew. Why was that, Beth? My eyes just like everyone else's after all, focusing only on despair, filtering out simple happiness.
You look up, Papa. You can't help it. You were born wondering. Larry never wondered. He just knew.
Dove, what did he know at the moment you killed him?
That I was killing him because I loved him. Papa, what he didn't know was this. Having killed him, how can I live?
Don't knock it, it's the vogue. Instant vulgarity. Well, what do you do when you're far from home on a Saturday night?
The same thing you do.
It stinks, doesn't it?
Well, and how are all the brave young cannibals?
Sharpening their teeth.
Will you listen to Dixie, honey? A piece of sandpaper's got just so many rubs, so don't rub yourself out unnecessarily. Now, you think that's bad taste in there?
About as bad taste can taste.
You should try a good Orthodox funeral. People put on weight eating and take it off dancing. Honey, let's face it. We're all just a bunch of lonely Pagliaccis. So many laughs, so many tears. And who cares? Only dear old Dixie.
You know, my mother did me a great disservice. She warned me against older women.
You know, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
Excuse me. I'll be an hour, maybe less.
I'll be an hour older, maybe more.
Hooray.
Go to Cora and remind her what she said. that it could go one way or another way. Tell her I can't let them defile Larry any longer. I'm sorry. I'm profoundly sorry, but now I see it could never go any way but this way. Tell her to tell the truth. I can't go on. Tell her if she doesn't tell, if she's afraid for herself or for me, somehow I'll find the strength and I'll tell tomorrow in the courtroom. Can you remember all that? Those exact words? Thank you, Todd.
Come in.
Come and sit by the warm fire.
Best doctors in the state signed that. Week she and Larry went to Memphis. Once she knew it was all through his brain and they couldn't operate. And that he might live a week or a month. She said once she knew and she saw what the pain was doing to him. She thought, while he's sleeping. And she took that old bird gun of yours. But she couldn't do it that way. She knew I still loved him from way back. She showed me that report. Cora, she said, give me the strength. I don't have enough, she said. I was pressing a dress. You remember the one scandalized the whole town 2 years back. I was pressing and I was thinking, why don't I move somewhere where I can wear this? And it's funny. How can you think about pressing the wrinkles out of chiffon and at the same time think about killing the man you used to love? But all I said is, this iron's too hot, honey. Hand me that water. I'd just die if I burnt this dress, even if they won't let me wear it around here. Well, maybe it was the steam on the iron. Made me think. The way the water just fried and disappeared. It made me think about Beth and me if we got caught. We could hang for this, Beth, I said. You know that. You know it could go that way. Cora, she said, you should see him when he thinks I'm not watching. He dies 20 times a day, and I die with him. What's one hanging? Well, Beth, I said, you're still young. You still got a whole life in front of you. Me, all I got left is just this old dress, and I can't even wear it. But what I got left, I still want to keep, so let's be smart. I had a birthday coming. I said he always brings me a bottle on my birthday, and then goes. Well, this time I'll ask him to stay. Have a birthday drink with me for old time's sake. And I'll have my robe on, so it'll look like people think it ought to look. And then you come in, and you do what we have to do. And that way they'll let you off after. Cora, she said, I don't care about that. I just know I have to help him. And without your strength, I don't think I'm gonna be able. So, we did it.
Since yesterday's bombshell, events have moved swiftly here at the county courthouse in Hernando, Mississippi. Cora Parks has been indicted as an accessory, and what looked to be a surefire acquittal of Beth Chance is now an entirely different situation. A quick count of the mail shows a switch in the popular attitude, with a growing volume of angry letters questioning the right of Beth Chance and Cora Parks to play God.
My darling, the jury's about to come in with a verdict.
Now, what is this?
Oh, come on now. Don't tell me that upset you.
What young man has done more for Beth Chance than her high-priced defense attorney, chasing around the country up and down back roads after midnight to gather evidence and to frustrate the prosecution? Could it be that Todd Stiles, special secretary to Warren Barr, is the shoulder Beth has been crying on? Should the verdict be not guilty, is this the man who will escort her on the round-the-world trip her father's promised her? Or if the verdict is guilty, is this the young man who will help her pick up the pieces of a shattered life when and if she's released from prison?
Well, I thought it was a pretty stylish piece of writing myself. Now, do you mind if I go back to work?
I believe in a lot of things, Dixie Martin. But one thing I believe in real deeply is that suffering without meaning is just too much. Now, why did you come here? Because you were sent? Because it's a job and somebody has to do it? Or did you come because you love it? Because you're fascinated by other people's pain? I say most of you are a bunch of dirty-minded kids riding on the backs of barns. I say you have no right butting into other people's lives. I look at you, Dixie Martin, and I wish I'd never looked at you.
All right.
We've just had the flash from inside, ladies and gentlemen. Beth Chance has been found guilty with a recommendation for clemency. Sentence will not be imposed until tomorrow morning.
Just person to person, Mr. Barr. Not in any other capacity but me to you. I'm sorry.
What's your name, young man?
Russell? Jimmy Russell.
I'll tell you something, Jimmy Russell. I'm sorry, too. Are we sorry for the same reasons?
I don't know, sir.
I wonder other things. To kill a man out of jealousy, would that have been acceptable to those 12 people in there? Something to be applauded as just and fitting by a jury and a large section of the press and the public? But to kill out of mercy, to cut off the agony of a dying man, is that what was unacceptable? If I can find any comfort in all of this, Jimmy Russell, it's only in the knowledge that out of the turmoil and heartlessness of these last few days, I can still see one pure and noble act. My daughter Beth and Cora, very much together, yet very much alone. Each accepting their guilt, but still making their choice freely, separately. After all, what's left to us but our separateness and the dignity to bear it?
This has been a Screen Gems film presentation. Herbert B. Leonard, executive producer.